Hello. I think I've really learned something about love on this journey, and it's been really worth the learning. All the effort and struggle I've taken to control my own narcissism and to remove it facet by facet. Thread by thread, I pull all my personality apart, prize out the narcissism and the ego, and leave it behind. Because every time I find it, I know it's of no value to me at all. And I wasn't afraid that I would lose my personality, far from it. I was happy to lose my personality. I didn't like myself, and nobody liked me. And I know why, because I wasn't very nice, and I wasn't kind. And so learning to love my dog opened the door for me, and she anchored me to the ground over this last 2 years. When I was sectioned and came out, I was lost, just adrift. My family had they didn't know how to handle me. It wasn't that they were unkind, didn't care about me. They just couldn't handle me. What I was saying, the Cassandra effect was so powerful. It just drives people away. And so I had Sid. And often in those 2 years, I would think about, I could do these crazy ideas to push the truth, and I can break through the Cassandra by sheer steamroller effort, as I tried for 2 years to do so. But Sid always anchored me to the ground and said, don't do anything that would get you in trouble, sectioned again, or just trouble, because who would look after Sid that evening or that morning? So she anchored me to the ground, and so I just decided to put her first. The only way I could handle training a puppy after having coming out from getting sectioned was to just go, okay, I'll just be a dog trainer, a dog carer then. I'll care for Sid more than I care for myself, put her first. And in taking that step to put her first, I suddenly realised how much I loved her. And of course I put her first. Her needs are more important than mine. I can't be happy if I know that Sid is unhappy. I'm just going to be, whatever I'm doing, I'm going to be unhappy. So I put her first. And it was that lesson that about love means giving away. You put yourself under the person that you love. They're more important than you are. Their happiness is more important than your happiness. And that was and so she returned that love in spades. I was incredibly happy. And Sid's really happy too. She really is. She's a really happy dog because she knows she's loved, cared for, and I always put her first. So that was a lovely anchor for me through this hard journey of being Cassandra and trying to tell the truth. Rah, rah, rah. And then 23rd of December I met Louise, and we fell in love immediately. Love at first sight. And since then, every moment that I spend with her... Sid, can you be quiet, please? Honestly, every moment that I spend with her is the best day of my life. Sid, come here. Stop yapping, I'll sort you out in a minute. It's the best day of my life. We've had a day out sorting out the marriage banns and getting that ready for the wedding in March. I know it's crazy, but I know it's not that it's right. It's just that, Sid, can you shut up, please? This is important. Honestly, these dogs, they just don't care. I'm going right off her. And so every day is wonderful. And so every time we part company, I'm filled with more love, and it's endless. It's endless. There you go. You're happy now. She's happy now. It's endless. Love never runs out. It has its own momentum. It carries you through. It's wonderful. Truly wonderful. And that I know this may be hard to hear, but I think that one of the major problems we have as our society is that we identify a relationship as a noun, a thing, an actual thing that we are. We are a relationship, and you're not. Part of the dictionary work that we're doing with the Arabic Qamrag English Dictionary in the mellifluous area is redefining these ideas. And so relationship has got a new definition. We've nailed it down to the quality of the proximity of two entities. Be they a matchbox and a ball bearing on a table, the proximity to them, the relationship, the relativity between the two can be measured and assessed in all sorts of ways. When it comes to our relationships, you can really apply that because the word is quality. What's the quality of your relationship? If your relationship is not quality, you're in trouble because you define yourself by your relationship. I am this relationship. You hand power to the other player in that relationship. And immediately you're just going to go downhill. Because if you love 100% and the other person only loves 99% in any given moment, your instinct will be to undercut, to go to 98, to make sure you're not the sucker in game theory. And so your partner will notice that as well, and they'll drop down one, and then it will start to go down in bigger jumps as you become less and less comfortable with each other, until it becomes a disaster and you split up. You give up. Yeah, and you feel relieved. Oh, thank goodness, that's done. Yeah, have I learned now? Have I learned now? Always the question, have I learned now? And that was the point of the relationship. God never gives you anything that you can't handle. You handled that breakup. You're alive. You may, if you're a man, you may have a pound in your pocket. Or if you're the junior partner, man or woman, you seem to end up with richer than when you started, and the more wealthy player ends up less wealthy from the relationship. A disaster. And I think it's because of this idea that we nestle our identity into our relationship as a noun, where in fact what we should do is nestle our identity into our relationship as a description. And I still haven't quite come up with it. I think it's an adverb, I'm not sure, of what we're talking about, because you emphasize the word quality. And the thing with quality is, as in Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance is a Chautauqua on, can you define quality? And he can't. He identifies it as the divide between the classic and the romantic worlds in an incredibly insightful way, but he can't nail the definition of quality, because it's unnail-downable. At the beginning of the book it says, what is good and what is not good, Phaedrus? And do we need anyone to tell us these things? In other words, quality is a subjective experience from within. And so, how do you feel, in this case, about your relationship? The quality of your proximity to the other entity in your relationship is the measure of the success of your relationship. By taking the idea of the dictionary with a mellifluous zone in the center of random, undefined ideas about defined things. So you have a mellifluous center of a triangle, and you have Arabic at the top, Cymraeg, English. Doesn't really matter what the order is. And everything outside of that triangle is defined against the Cymraeg, the English, or the Arabic, and whichever one suits the word best for its description. So if you had a word for, in Cymraeg, a word I love is hiraeth, that you can't, there's no English word for it. You understand what it means. It's the call of home is loud. And so, but how do you express that in English? I reach for the Welsh word. So in English, I just say, well, we'll have that word in the English dictionary and link through to the Cymraeg. All defined, but with some fluidity, controlled fluidity right on the edge of the mellifluosity. So that if we find ideas in the center, when you take a defined idea, place it in your mind into the mellifluosity zone, and move it around, play with the words, and it means that, but it also means that. If I put that word there next to a defined word against that word, it means something else. And then you can refer to the Arabic or the Welsh to go, well, the sound between the two words I don't like, so I'm going to mutate the first word so it flows better, as the Welsh do, the Cymraeg do. Yeah, and so you can pick and choose your definitions out of the Arab, the Cymraeg, or the English, and it'll all be in the language, your own language, the definitions linking to your own word, to the word that you want. And it may be one or two or three. It may give you options. You may have a word that can be defined slightly differently in those three languages. And as we build up the dictionary, we can adjust all that stuff so that it all works, and everyone links their own language straight into one of them, or all of them, whatever you want, whatever works for you. And one of the things we were doing with the languages from tribal people, for example, I think they'll exist in the mellifluosity zone. They won't be able to define a word, so they'll just place it in the mellifluosity zone, and they'll link it to that in order to anchor their ancient, precise language for their precise tribe into all the rest of us who are just using our train of thought type ideas. So you can kind of go from classic physics to quantum physics, if you like, and say that the outside of the triangle is the classic physics, where everything is clearly cause and effect, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, yeah, defined, easy to work, easy to understand. You define the word, you understand the word. Once you've grabbed it and you're confident you've got the word, you can put it into the mellifluosity zone and start playing with it, because you're not going to lose anything. Yeah, so wonderful in terms of language and control, and the way the future is going to work in terms of us understanding each other. It's going to be absolutely key. But I want you to take this idea to your relationship and look at the quality of the system I just described and see how that will improve being able to define quality. You can pick some words and add some mellifluosity, and what you'll end up with is a little poem or a couplet or a song, something that says to you, this speaks quality to me, to my subjective experience. And you'll be able to take that to your personal relationship with your own God, because this is what it's all about. You must have a relationship with God, your own personal one. You're in control. If you need guidance, of course, the guidance will all be there. But the end game is a personal relationship that you need no one to tell you what quality feels like. You need no one to tell you what it feels like to be loved by God. You need no one to tell you to feel like how to love God. So take all those ideas and look at your relationship. Do you have quality of proximity of the two entities? If you do, then you're blessed indeed. If you don't, stop. Talk to each other and split up, for heaven's sake. Because it's true that love at first sight happens all the time. I never believed it was true. Since meeting Louise, I've met at least 3 other people around the village, just in my village, who met in the same way. They went, oh, there's my person. You know in a heartbeat. And that's it. But it's so easy to pretend. It's so easy to mistake validation for love. That you feel, for me, it was that I always felt I had something missing in me. And that if I could find the right person, they would fill that missing space for me, and I would fill a missing space for them. I'm broken, they're broken, let's fix each other. It doesn't work like that. You just get more broken. And it's good to identify that at the beginning, which is why ego and validation is so important to understand before you launch into any relationship. Because you can't have any inside a relationship that has quality of proximity. You just can't have ego in there between the two of you. It must be total trust, 100%. And believe me, if your relationship isn't that, then it isn't the right relationship. It doesn't have the quality. It's true that you may go through life alone, based on that scenario, always seeking for the one. But when you know that you are the light of love, an immortal soul who goes on forever, and that this is protein character exhibiting down here to do the experiencing on behalf of our consciousness, the actual touchy-feely stuff can only be done by matter, by a protein character. It becomes understandable that it's loneliness that drove me into relationships, and it's loneliness that has driven you into relationships. So that until you can understand loneliness, you can't have a relationship. It will fail. You can't fix it with other people. It's an internal problem. And that my battle, I named this as my quest when my dear mother died. I said, I've got to learn to be alone without feeling lonely at all, because I liked being alone. And it was hard. Years of hard work. People reacting strange to me doing strange things to try to understand the thoughts I was having. The cross-dressing I talked about was one, and having sleeping with men another. It's all part of working out, what are these thoughts? Are they good thoughts? Is it me? Is it not me? Are they useful, not useful? That's the journey of being alone. And so that's the first stage. That's the BEng 2.01 that we're going to be introducing, which will be a basic training that everyone can pass. It'll be straight for engineering principles, but based on life and love, the momentum of love. So it's the fun, arty end of the momentum of love. You don't need to touch the science. It's wonderful. So, and you can get any age. Yeah, 5-year-old could get a BEng 2.01, and then they don't have to go to school anymore. They choose their education after that. And of course, it's all available. It's about critical thinking skills. Critical thinking skills, not being afraid to be wrong, will be part of the BEng 2.01. It's going to be a great well. Because then people will stop pretending to be in love. Yeah, it's a great song. You can't pretend to have fun. Yeah, you can't pretend to be in love either. If you do, it's a disaster for you, for your partner, and for society as a whole. Because the sex you're having is a bit rapey. It's a bit rapey. And you must make sure that all the sex you ever have from now on is not rapey at all. And you can only do that through being in a relationship with 100% trust and 100% love. And speak to people. Speak to your friends. If you know a couple who had that experience of, there's my person, speak to them about how it felt, and be certain in this knowledge that it's true, it's real, and available for you. It will happen for you. It will. I promise. 100% it will happen. But you have to accept that it might not be in this protein character's lifetime, and that your job in this protein character's lifetime is to learn. Have you learned now? God will send you trials. He'll never give you a trial you can't survive. And that's really nice to know, isn't it? So when you're in the face of disaster and you're pushing through, take Nelson Mandela's example and say, I can be positive about this experience, no problem. It's a lesson. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Learn the lesson. So stop fighting for your relationships. If they're breaking down, they're broken. If they started to break down, they're gone. You can't fix it. Unfixable. So give up and stop, and know that you're not giving up. You're just saying it's not right. Let's own up. And if you look at the information, you can split up really well. If you're protected by my government, then you don't own anything. So there's no divorce. You're not going to be arguing over anything. You're just going to say it's children. You're just going to make sure that you put them first instead. If you love your children, you put them first. If in any moment you don't put yourself in front of your child, you're a cunt. Yeah, just validation. I've seen so many narcissistic parents. Yeah, the show-off dads playing in the park with their kids. They get all the kids are looking on. It's funny but awful because it's a shit society, and a shit society builds a shit world. Yeah, where everyone's shit and everyone fucking hates it, and the people who want a good one just go, just fuck off and leave me alone. And that's no good for us as a species. We're not individuals. We're a species. When we act as a species, behave as a species, understand what we're supposed to be doing, our job, understand how to have relationships, understand what rapey sex is and how not to have it, we'll build a country worth living in, and we'll be an example to the rest of the world of how to sort ourselves out. No longer the British running around with their trousers around their knees with shit-stained pants on show. Far from it. Every one of you, every single one of you, stand so tall and proud of your country and who you are. The Brexit nonsense was a game, a lie that was played, like a trick was played on you to make you vote leave, so that you could be stupid, so that I could rise, get this information, come back, fix the country, and let's go. And there's nothing I can do. No one will listen to me. The Cassandra effect is so massive. We knew this risk. British intelligence knew the risk. It's up to me. So I'm just doing this. Putting my videos down now gently. That's all I'm doing. No Twitter, nothing else. Just put my videos down, ready for when you need them. Put my thoughts down. And concentrate on Louise and living my life and living as love. Because I realised that I reached the apogee of aloneness. I was completely contented alone. I really liked it. And I would have been alone for the rest of my life. And it was in the moment that I discussed that with a friend of mine and said exactly those words, but then said, but if perfection came along, I'd be foolish to not even look. 4 days later. 4 days later. That's magic. That's love. If it's not magic, it ain't love. But you can rely on this if you have to go alone. If you find yourself alone, know this. Your king loves you. Your Tawasok loves you. With all my heart. And I just want you to be happy. But I can't make you happy because there's nothing I can do apart from tell you information that might help and tell you I love you. Yeah. So this is the new story. I've had a shave. This is the new me. I'm going to get married. I'm taking my wife's name, so I'm going to have a new name. I'm going to have my middle name and my wife's name. Yeah, and because everything is about the patriarchy, is about the cock, my poet's name is going to be John Thomas. I love it. I really love it. I really love my life in a way that if you don't love yours, you think is unimaginable, unreachable, this level of happiness, sustained happiness forever. No, it's possible. You just have to learn. First step, God loves you. Let him into your heart and begin the journey towards surrendering to his love. The moment you do, your life will be complete and you'll step forward as a new person. Thank you, God. I love you. You are a fucking legend in my life, and I will never ever forget good things you do for me by bringing me, in my case, my queen, my Louise. So think about that. It's one of the things I want you to think about when we get the lockdown done, which is ahead of us. The main changes will come once everyone's locked down. Everyone will be where they need to be, is the message. So if you feel you need to be somewhere else before the lockdown, my advice is to go there now and start to prepare and start to think. And think that no matter whatever struggles we may have ahead of us, and there will be many, no question, for you individually and as a whole, they'll be worth it. Because you, as an individual person, will find your person, and you'll know how to recognize them, how to treat them, how to have sex with them, and how to be happy ever after. It's a new story. It's a new story. I hope you liked it.